I am Leah Gluck. My maiden name is Lorenzi. I am a twin. My brother's name is Menashe Lorenzi, and we are survivor of Auschwitz because we were a twin. And at that time, 1944, we were 10 years old. We went to Auschwitz, and as a twin, they put us to a different side. As you know, when we arrived to Auschwitz, they put in rows everybody, men and women separately, and of course mothers with children and old people were sent to left, and the young ones that were capable to work, they sent to the right side. And we didn't go not to the left and not to the right, just in front. Of course, it's very important. Dr. Mengele was the one who was separating and sending with one wing from right to left. And for us, he said all the twins should go to one side, like in the front near him. And I don't know what made us doing it. We were so tumult, we didn't know what's going on with us. So we went to that side because we were really twins. And that's how we got, they took us to a washroom to wash ourselves. And they were keeping us all day long without any clothes on us. And no food, of course, nothing. We didn't eat all day. And I was also, they put us numbers. It was, they call it tattooed. It's the numbers on it. So we became a number. We had no names, just by the number. Then, till at night we were there, and they gave us some kind of clothing, and old clothing, of course. We didn't get back our clothing, and the clothing wasn't fitting us, but something to wear, because all day we were embarrassed, we were naked. And finally they took us to the hospital. That time was hospital, that place. And there we got a little piece of bread, like a slice of bread. And they told us this slice of bread has to be enough till tomorrow night. Like once a day, they're gonna give us food. And I was very hungry, and I ate up the whole bread, little by little, taking pieces till I finished the bread. Of course, my brother was very angry. He says, "What are you doing? You're eating up the whole bread in once, and what's going to be till tomorrow? You're going to starve till tomorrow." So I said to him, "This little piece is nothing. I mean, we starve anyway, so why shouldn't I at least have the whole piece in once?" And I just couldn't resist, and I finished it. And then slowly we realized what happened to us and what happened to our dear ones, that everybody was killed. And we went to the window, and we started to see the flames from the crematorium. It wasn't far, the crematorium. That was also called like a washroom. They took the people there to wash themselves, and meanwhile they instead of it was like showers, but instead of coming water, it came gas, and they killed them before they burned them. And it was just unbearable, the whole situation. We were 10 years old to find out all the truth, what happened and what's going on. was terrible, and every day they brought new people. They came with the train every day, and that time they didn't let us go out, was not allowed to go out because they didn't want us to see. But when we went to the window and we saw the flames, we knew what's going on again and again and again. So we started to get accounted and see who is who and what's what. We were quite a few number of twins together, mostly girls. I was just very, very lucky that I had my brother with me. Usually they separated boys and girls. And just don't ask why, but it happened that I had the luck that my brother stayed with me. And they said they're gonna separate him, but that time never came, thank God, and we were always together. And one time, yes, and to go to the laboratory was just unreal. It was a terrible scene. We had, from Poland, there were people that were years already there before us. So they were already skeletons. And they didn't wear any clothing on themselves. And to see skeletons, they looked like dead. They were just bones, nothing else, just bones. And I just don't know how could they still were alive and they talking to us, and we were deadly afraid from them. We didn't know, we never saw human beings in this situation. And we had nightmares, and we were terribly afraid. And we knew that someday they're gonna destroy us. After a while, they started to experiment on us, and they took the blood from us. They wanted to give for German women, they should have twins, that they grow up, they should have the army and more and more German folk, they should, the population should grow and grow. Yeah, sometimes I just can't bring out some words, and I'm a little bit excited too. It's not the excitement of the meeting you or talking on the video, it's just that I usually don't talk about what happened to me. It's very, very hard to bring out the words what we went through. It's really already 40 years, and it's coming out, but very slowly and hardly because it hurts. And it's experience that we never ever will forget, and it will hurt all the time, and it's very hurting to talk about it. So I get really very excited that I talk about it. After a while, we were constantly going to have examinations, taking blood, and they made x-rays. They were making those experiments, and then we were always afraid that they're gonna cut. And they also made x-rays, which we find out later that was lots from us. They were just can't talk. They were with x-rays, everything like taken out from them, so they couldn't have children, and they got sick afterwards, and they just couldn't function the way they should. And some of the experiments were really hard, but we were lucky that we didn't get so far. We just were our experiments, they did just still here, all little pieces of bones. And we were, with red pencils, we were marked. And of course, 3 times a week, they took our blood from us, which was terrible because, first of all, we were afraid. Secondly, if you do it so oftenly, you don't find any more the veins. And it was painful. And the third, we didn't have no food, so we couldn't bring the blood back. He did just still here, and we weren't, thank God, I mean, now it was a line, and whoever was advanced, we weren't yet so much advanced, so he couldn't do the worst on us. He did more and more. You know, he went step by step doing, he knew what he's doing. He was a doctor, and he was a famous doctor. So some of the children, they had terrible things, and some of the children, we couldn't get there yet. You know, so some of them, they were even, X-ray that they couldn't have any children anymore, you know, burned out with the X-rays. But on us, we were just, my brother and I, we were just examined till here. They didn't do, from here down, we weren't yet examined. From here till here, you know, and piece by piece. They took us piece by piece, and we were put some red all over our bones, were, you know, was like red marks on it. And those marks, we weren't supposed to wash it off, you know, like ink marks, red ink marks. Well, the needle marks, everything was there because we had no vitamins, and we were constantly getting backwards. We were very short and bent, and we went backwards. You know, a 10-year-old child has to grow and develop. We went backwards. We lost a lot of weight, and we were smaller and smaller. So when we came home, we looked like 5. We didn't look like 10 years old ones. We were just like numbers, and like being the piece of whatever they needed. They never felt us that we are humans. If they hurted us, they hurted. So what? So we were crying. It didn't hurt them. We would never get anesthetics doing the experiments. They went piece by piece, measuring and doing and x-raying, you know, like little animals. We were like cats and dogs, like little animals. And here they don't even use cats and dogs because it's that's also human. Like they're using just rats or mouse, and that's how he kept us. I mean, he was doing all kind of experiments on us, like on today they're doing our mouths. I got sick. I had very high temperature, and my one side of my face was swollen up, and the doctor didn't know what to do with me. She tried to give me this and that. There was no antibiotic that time, and nothing helped. So she waited till my brother was carrying the food. They used to bring the big containers with the food at night. So in the afternoon he went away to bring the food. Meanwhile, she took me away because she knew that we are so much attached, and we were afraid to be separated, that we never will see each other. So she took that time to take me to the hospital, and I told her, I'm not gonna come back. She says, no, you're coming back. So I went there, and of course, they took me to the hospital. I didn't come back for a while, and I was very, very sick. And they hired me. the beds was like bunk beds, and they hide me on the top of the third, that if Dr. Mengele comes, she shouldn't see me, that I'm sick. And they didn't know what to do with me. I was like in a half coma. I couldn't, I didn't know what's going on with me. I had temperature, and I didn't eat, and I didn't go down from my bed for quite a while, for quite a few days. Meanwhile, they brought a doctor, and she said, I have to be operated, and I was operated on my side, and she took out a big gland or a swelling that was swollen in there, and she saved my life, which was very unusual in that time. And my brother was constantly crying, and he didn't know what happened to me. So when he heard that they're gonna take some children over to the hospital, he started to cry that he has toothache, and his tooth hurts him, and he was crying. So after a few days, when they had a few children that they didn't feel good, they took them to the hospital, and he went along. And of course, nothing hurted him. He just wanted to find me. So he was crying badly that his tooth hurt him, that they should take him for first. And they just extract him a regular teeth, and he didn't mind to give his teeth. And then he ran away and started to go on one block to the other to look for me till he find me. While he needed us, he wanted we should be healthy to be able to finish whatever experiments he wanted to do on us. This was a different hospital, and we went out, when they made us the experiments, we went to the city of Auschwitz. Auschwitz was a city where all the big officers, they were living, and Dr. Mengele was living there in Auschwitz, in the city. And the big hospitals were there where he was examining us and doing his experiments. They took us with a car there, because it was a little bit far from our lager. So they took us with a car there all the time, back and forth, every day. Every day, yes. Every day was years there. We were there almost a year. We were 9 months there. After we made our beds and we were ready, we were just pulled, and we had to go already to make the examinations. And we got food only when we came back. They made the soup from, if we had potato, from the potato peel, then we were just lucky if we find some potato peel in our soup. It was from grass. It was so bad that in the beginning I just didn't want to eat. And my brother was forcing me, I must eat, and I must come back, and I must eat. And they gave this soup at night. It was about like most of the day. It was, I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock when we came back. We didn't know exactly timing because we had no time. But it's funny, we knew about which day is, and we knew the dates. We knew that the high holidays are coming, maybe one from the other. I just don't know from where. And we had a little prayer book with us, which we kept it all the time with us. And we had to say a little prayer for my father before he left to the war. They took him. He didn't go to Auschwitz. They took him to the war. So before he left for good, he gave us, we should pray for him. But We didn't think of praying for our mother. We just prayed for him because we knew our mother is going to survive. We have to pray for him because he is in the army and he is on the front, and we have to pray for him that he should come back because he's in a bad place. We didn't think, that we are even in the worst place. And once I hear screaming and yelling by the window, and I hear my name. So I look back, and girls, they were hysterical. They were from our town, and they recognized me. And they ran to get my aunt, and I met my aunt. And they were started to take me, and like, is this real? They seeing me, or is this just a dream that they seeing me? They didn't know that we survived, that because they knew that all the children were killed. So when my aunt came, we started to cry. And so for a while we knew that we have our aunt, and we tried to get together, but we never could. And then when I was in hospital, when I was operated, she also came. And that time she worked outside on the field, and the way they came back, she took a little tomato and she wanted to bring me that small tomato, and they find by her the tomato, and they beat her up terribly for that, and they took everything away what she had. Everything, whatever little thing what she had in her possession that was her own. What miserable he made our life, knowing that everyone was killed, our grandparents, our cousins, our aunts, everybody, our dear cousins, aunts' children, everybody was killed. We were the only survivor from a big family. In December, it was after a big snowstorm, and the snow was very hard, like a piece of ice already, and the blocks were very cold. Middle of the night, we were waken up that we have to go to Celapel. The Celapel means that you have to stay in row, and they're gonna count you. Of course, in the Celapel, they were also looking if the people are that have the strength to work further. If not, they send them. They were yelling and screaming us, and we didn't find our clothes. It was night, and we were trying to find. We were undressed, and we just couldn't find our clothes. Was miserable, and we were just pushed out. That was 12 at night, and we stayed from 12 at night till 6 at night on the snow, on the icy snow, half night, and all day long till at night. My brother was in a separate row, and he kept coming back to me and telling me I should run and I should move, I shouldn't froze. We just didn't know how we're gonna survive, and it's really, if not my brother, I wouldn't make it. The picture that was taken in the concentration camp, did you do that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay, so that's the electric gates that we had there, and if somebody touched that gate, was killed right away. One night, a truck came over, and some of the sick persons were taken, and of course always at night they did this. They were like these people, they couldn't walk anymore, so they were shoveling and throwing them up on the truck, like garbage. These poor people, and they were just thrown up, and the people's big strength that they wanted to leave so much that they were jumping down back again from the truck, that they knew what's next, that they taking them to the crematorium, so they wanted to leave, and whoever had the strength, they jumped down even though they couldn't even walk anymore, they were so sick. Sundays was a good day already. We didn't get anything. They didn't make any experiments, so we could play and do whatever we want. And if we wanted to play, not always we were in the mood of playing. And they gave us a very, very good supper. We had cabbage, sour cabbage. And in the cabbage we had some corn, hard corn, very dry corn they cooked in it. So of course we ate that on our raw stomach. And then all night long we were rushing to the bathrooms, the laboratories. So it was, the way we were marching on, a long block till the end of the block where the laboratories was, was the sign, the way we went, because we had such terrible diarrhea that we couldn't hold it. So it was terrible, terrible scenery, to do this over and over again. And that was the beautiful fun that they gave us a good meal for Sunday.